Sergeant Jones. Sergeant Jones, just to let you know, tonight is Wednesday. Tomorrow is Thursday. I plan on being at work. I hope to see you at the big shop. Now that the smart ass shit is over with, let's touch base on a few things. Poverty Pony. Suppressor's mounted. LPVO is mounted. I believe I already touched on the LPVO versus a prism scope and all that good stuff in CQB scenarios. I am going to 100% give it to the LPVO, especially this scope. And this is a $500 to $600 scope. Vortex PS Viper PST Gen 2, which does get daylight bright on that little red dot in there. With that being said, I did make a few videos and I did try to edit them into one video. I found out I need help, so I've got to reach out to somebody else. So those videos will be uploaded at a later date and all that good stuff to cover all the issues that we have overcome and are still having. But all in all, the gun is running. It is running suppressed. It is running unsuppressed. It is putting up 1-inch groups. So in comparison to the one Daniel Defense rifle that I have shot, it is beating it. And I think for the most part, if we were to have everything brand new, it would be just as good as the Daniel Defense, and we did it a whole lot cheaper. But tonight, that is not what the video is about. Since I'm not able to upload the other video, I'm working on this one and trying to give you the best I can do with what I have to offer and what experience I have to offer. Lately, my feed on YouTube, since I like to just get in the truck and I drive an hour to and from work every day. The past, I don't know, 3 or 4 days, my feed is getting filled up with LPVO is crap, red dot's king, prism scope is king, red dot is king, I'm sorry, LPVO is king, all this other stuff. And I've really found myself thinking about this, and I've come up with a couple of questions to really ask myself to what is the best way to go. Now, since a lot of these videos are coming up and coming across as shit hit the fan and everything else, like the world is ended, we got to do this, blah, 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 all this other bullshit. I decided to go ahead and come at it from the same point of view. And this is me owning, I'm only going to talk about things that I've owned or used in the military. AIM comp, CCOs, comp 2, comp 4, the SIG, Romeo 7, Romeo 5, the Trigicon ACOG, it was issued to me, using the SLX 5-time prism scope for years, personally owned. And then recently, over the past year or so, I have gotten into the LPVOs and everything else as far as this video is going to be concerned. But I find myself asking, there's like specific questions you have to ask yourself to find out what is going to work. Durability, range, and where you operating. Durability is a very, very complex one. We're going to get into, that's going to be the first one we're going to jump off into, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to get inside that one. Durability covers a lot of things. Can it get knocked around? How long is it going to last? Just all sorts of little scenarios you can put an optic through to see what's going to happen. And man, it was just kind of really sitting there thinking about this when I put these questions together. It was like, durability, okay, cool. What's the first thing that's going to crap out? Personal experience, batteries. Batteries going to be the first thing that craps out. Yes, you can get 10, 20, 50, 500,000 hours out of certain optics with certain battery lives. But eventually they are going to crap out. They're going to go away. So to me, as far as durability goes, blam, that kills the red dot right off the bat. It's going to crap out. Now, this is not taking to a lot of things into extremes, but this is just like practical use. We're going to do this, but the battery is going to be the first thing that goes. Once the battery goes in the red dot, if you don't have a backup, you're done. It's gone. The next thing I ran into was, I was like, okay, cool, prism scopes. SLX from Primary Arms, the 5-time prism scopes, the 3-times prism scopes, and then you also jump into the Trigicon ACOG, which I have been issued, and I did have one that I personally owned, which I'm going to go ahead and tell you right off the bat, it found itself in the trash can because tritium does wear out. So, with all that being said, I'm like, okay, so let's break this down into durability. Let's do a simple breakdown into durability as far as reticles go. EOTech eats batteries, not gonna lie. The SIG optics and the Aimpoint optics that I've owned and been issued, they're running great. One of the other issues I ran into, especially with EOTech, battery corrosion. You leave the scope off or the red dot off and you let it sit in the gun safe. Oh, I got to go overseas for a year. You come back, it corroded out. Oh, it killed the freaking optic. It's done. I didn't even get a year's use out of it. Yes, should I take the batteries out? 100%. But if it's a shit hit the fan scenario, are you going to take your batteries out of your freaking red dot? No, you're not. So you're not going to get, I mean, personally, I don't see you getting the full life use out of those batteries. At least this has been my experience. But with that being said, so that kind of killed the red dot. Moving on to the prism scopes. Now the SLX series, I can't really ding them on this one because if the battery dies, your reticle is still good. It's still good to go. And those things are built like tanks, just like the Trigicon ACOG. Not gonna lie, I lied to Primary Arms so I could get a Gen 3 and they went ahead and did it anyway. But no, I did not break that scope, and it took a 13-foot fall out of a tree stand after I fell asleep in it and all of that good stuff, because no, I was a dumbass and didn't put a sling on the motherfucker. It fell. When it hit the ground, no, it didn't shift point of aim. It held true. Trigicon ACOG, I mean, pretty close, the same situation. Yeah, it went through it. No, it held at 0. It did good. But with the Trigicon ACOG and the tritium night sight, what I ran into is when the tritium ran out, that reticle got really hard to see. So, and it had to be a specific lighting condition for me to be able to see it. It wasn't etched in very deep and very hard. It was very dependent on that tritium filament to light up that reticle. And then anybody that's used any of those, you all know the black electric tape drill where you got to run it like 3/4 of the way up to get it to dial down so you don't have the starburst or the bloom or any of that other stuff, so you can pull off precise shots at distance. LPBOs that I've ran, SLX, SIG, SLX, Primary Arms, SIG, MSR, I don't know which one I'm still trying to figure out how SIG labels are shit, but it's a $500 to $600 scope. I got it on sale, and now I'm running a $500 to $600 primary, not Primary Arms, Vortex PST Gen 2, which does get daylight bright. But that reticle today, I didn't even use the light up reticle on messing with the Poverty Pony, the thoroughbred. I was just using it without the illumination. It worked great. I mean, it was a clear day, all of that good stuff, but it worked great without illumination. So, durability, I mean, I'm not trying to tell you what to buy, but durability right now, as far as like battery life, something goes wrong, there's a prism scope out there, SLX, from Primary Arms, that does really good. Trigicon does have a battery illuminated reticle. I have not used it, so I don't know what it looks like if it's not illuminated. I'm not going to say it's the same thing as the tritium one, but the tritium one, when the tritium wears out, to me, I mean, for what I was using it for, it was worthless. And then the red dot, it's done. Once the battery's done, it's done. With battery corrodes, it's done. And yes, the 2023s, I have had them corrode in optic systems. So there you go. So that's your first part of information. Range. Range is another one that's not really easy to break down, because each one of these three types of optics, they have their place, and they have parts where they really shine high above the other. As far as range goes, the bottom dog, I mean, I know as far as durability, the Trigicon had it, or the Prism Scope had it, but this is where the Prism Scope is going to drop off, and like, okay, we're shooting at weird angles, we're shooting up close. This is where it's really going to drop off, and the training aspect of shooting bend and aim is really horrific with the Prism Scope, whereas with the red dot, bend and aim, stupid easy. LPVO, it's easy, but it's more difficult than using the red dot. The red dot is designed to be shot with both eyes open. Being new to the LPVO world, shooting with both eyes open at one-time magnification, yeah, I'm getting there. I'm not gonna lie, but it's there. I mean, it can be done. I 100% believe it can be done. It's just something that has to be trained, and all of that good stuff. Best example I can give you, we're gonna go over one scenario I ran into in Iraq back in 05, 06 time frame type deal. We came under fire from a building and a convoy I was pulling security for with the company I was working for, and me shooting iron sights with the Draco, which was freaking pointless because it was 200 yards away. I may have been lobbing rounds in the window. I'm not going to say I was, but it is what it is. But other guys with AKs and a couple of other variations of rifles and machine guns and all that, we would lob rounds into the window, and we were still getting pretty consistent fire from a couple of windows, one with the machine gun and one you could tell was a DMR or a sniper type rifle, because it was a flash, it'd go away, it'd move, it'd come back. But what wound up happening on that situation is we had a DMR guy in our truck. He broke it down. This dude who was engaged, the machine gun took out relatively quickly from the DMR guy. He's in a corner of this window, blah, blah, blah. And truck lead said, fucking shoot the motherfucker. And he shot, and the machine gun died. The other guy, DMR sniper position, that was engaging us from a lower set of windows, was moving back and forth, but he wound up setting up a rhythm that our DMR guy and a couple of us other guys were able to pick up. Hey, he's going to shoot from this window now. He was able to pick up this window, and this is only a 200-yard engagement. He was able to zing it and knock this dude out so we could exfil and move on and do what we needed to do to carry on mission. The weapon systems we had, me personally using the Draco with iron sights, a couple of my other buddies using AKs. Second truck rolled up. I don't know what all weapon systems they had, but they did have red dots. They were not using AKs. They were using American style rifles. But nobody was hitting this guy until this guy with this DMR rifle popped out. Now, granted, it was not an LPVO. It was a fixed 10. He dialed it. He nailed him. End of story. But there was, oh, god dang it, I forget the name of it. It's the lower version of a Dragunov AK style rifle, sniper rifle. But it's got a 4x prism scope on it, or a 6x prism scope on it. But he was sending it. He was getting really close to the guy, but he wasn't doing it. I wanted to say it was a 4x. But the 10x guy, he nailed it. End of story. Exfil, move. Charlie Mike, all good stuff. But to me, everybody's like going red dots close in, all this other stuff, but man, you got to look at the limitations of it. When a lot of these guys are talking about this. They're talking about we're shooting full-size human silhouettes. I mean, in the military, we do that. We shoot out to 300 meters, full-size human silhouettes. Yeah, with the CCO, Comp 2, Comp 4, I can do it all day long. But if I'm shooting someone from cover, I really need the magnification to dial that in. And that's really where I think a lot of these people are coming from, talking from inexperience, not knowing what's really going on, or real world scenario. Let's talk about hunting coyotes. Same thing. They don't just always run out in the field. Some of them old dogs like to hang out in them tree lines and everything else. You got to zoom in to find them. So once again, I find myself leaning more towards an LPVO, MPVO over the red dot and over the prism scope. Now, also touching on the range, a lot of people are going, oh, put a magnifier on it, do this. Man, to me personally, if you put a magnifier on a red dot, you just killed every bit advantage that red dot had. You tighten up your eye box just like you do on a prism scope. It's the same thing, it's a prism scope. But you tighten up your eye box, you kill it, you got to get right up on it. You got to get the chipmunk cheek weld right, all that other good stuff. Everything's got to be dialed in just right. So does it help you increase your shooting? Does it clear up your red dot or your ring of death in your red dot? Yes, it does. But you just eliminated everything that the red dot's good for, is getting close in. And then once again, a lot of these guys go, it's a training thing. Well, yeah. Did you remember to flip your magnifier off when you walked inside the building to go do CQB type stuff? It's that type of stuff. So you just turned your red dot into an LPVO in my mind. So kill that. I mean, end of story. Where are you operating? What are you doing? All of that good stuff that brings up the third category of really focusing on. For me, if shit hit the fan type scenario, excuse me, I live in town. Am I going to be pulling 3, 4, 5, 600 yard shots off? Fuck no. I'm going to be pulling 50 to 100 yards max, or meters, whatever you want to call it. And depending on how your reticle's set up, you might want to know that shit. Mine are all yards, so that's why I keep going to yards. But with that being said, am I shooting long distance? No, I'm shooting in town. I'm trying to push out of my town and clear my town. Shit hit the fan scenario, all that other stuff. But if I got a guy that's shooting from cover at 100 yards inside my town, if I dial that LPVO up to 6 or 8, I can see him, and hopefully he's using a red dot and guessing where I'm at 100 yards. When you have this much of my head poking around a corner. Just saying, it is what it is. Are there guys out there who can pull that shot? 100%. How many? Small percentage. So you just upped your advantages by being able to dial in and get that precise shot so you can hit this side or this much of the head from someone shooting from cover. To me, that's where the LPVO shines. So this video has run a little bit longer than I planned on. I'm sorry. Now, with all of those three categories being hit and set on, training is the fourth and final category. Least amount of training to use, red dot. For myself, looking at things and coming at it, an LPVO is the next least amount of training to deal with. I found myself working with the ACOG on deployments, PSD missions, having to go through the shoot houses and everything else. I found that training to be more difficult and more focus intense of being able to do that stuff and being able to do the bend and aim type thing, because this is a 4 times magnified optic and I'm using my left eye to look at everything else around me. It really creates a weird deal. And then I'm also wind up hitting the tunnel vision type thing because the 4 times wants to draw all of my focus into it. And if I'm working close distances like 50 yards and in, I'm really killing my point of view or my field of view. Whereas I'm finding myself doing coyote hunting and just playing at the range on the 10, the 7, the 10, the 25, the 30, and the 40 yard. I find myself more apt to have both eyes open, scanning the whole area and able to draw into my next target. That is my personal experience. That is what I'm dealing with. So with all of this being said, I hope it helps you out. But 100%, everything has its place and everything has its deal. There's no such thing as the perfect optic. There's no such thing as the perfect gun. What I try to shoot for is something that hits a little bit of everything, so we can move this on and everything else. For some of you guys, if you are looking at this or planning to move to Alaska, maybe this is something you might want to think about too. I just read an article the other day about a guy getting attacked by a bear, and not a pretty thing. They were talking about all the stuff he had with him. He had a high magnified scope for shooting long distance. I've been to Alaska. Yeah, it's out there. Those distances are there to shoot for long distance. But this individual was not in the oil patch or the oil field or working a pipeline like where I was. He was in a tree. He was in a heavily wooded area. So that scope being a, from what I got, was an 8 to 50 magnification. It killed his whole freaking thing. He lost his whole field of view and everything. Plus, he was running the bolt gun, so you figure that out on your own. But this is what I'm going to lay out. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I'm not going to tell you what to buy. I know a lot of these things are overcome by putting red dots on LPVOs. I'm just going to leave it on 6-star magnification. Cool, you do that, whatever. I think you're missing the whole point of an LPVO, sorry. And then like your prism scopes, yeah, 100% I see mounting it, red dot on it. Me personally, after trying to run nods with that setup, I really highly recommend the 12 o'clock position, not a 45 cant, because you're going to make your life a little bit more miserable, but that's just me. So I hope this all helps you out. I hope you all have a good one. I'm going to go eat dinner now and all of that good stuff. So later. Have a good one.